Hi, these are the top 10 films of 2003. When I say top, I mean my personal favourite films. 2003 was a great year for cinema, so there's going to be loads of films I left off, so please include your favourites down below. And if you enjoy these videos, consider giving this a thumbs up, subscribing, and hitting that notification button. Cheers! In at number 10, Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl. Much like a corpse in the water, this is a bloated mess, but it is a lot of fun. Not corpses in the water, just the film is. This is one of those big studio swing and hit. This amazingly expensive film based on a bloody theme park ride shouldn't have worked. There hadn't been a successful pirate film in decades, with even Cutthroat Island bankrupting a film studio. And while this features a Hollywood sex symbol as its star, he had decided to play it in, shall we say it, a rather unique way. But everything, well, nearly everything, works, making this an undeniably fun time in the cinema. A lot of this comes down to Depp's performance as Jack Sparrow, a Keith Richards-inspired, drunk all over the place mess.
You are without doubt the worst pirate I've ever heard of.
But you have heard of me.
Apparently Disney executives were confused by his interpretation, asking him if the character was meant to be drunk or gay. Luckily, producer Jerry Bruckheimer and director Gore Verbinski trusted him. It's a fabulous performance, although with each sequel, the joke wore more and more thin. Also brilliant in it is Geoffrey Rush as the ghost captain pirate Barbossa. Not so good are the two secondary leads, with the limited Keira Knightley and the downright dreadful Orlando Bloom nearly sinking the film to the depths of Davy Jones's locker. The story of a bunch of ghost pirates trying to return some cursed treasure is a mess, but does lead to some fun sequences and some great dialogue. And there are a few other aspects that make this film so watchable. One, it looks stunning, with on-location photography in the Caribbean, as well as some truly spectacular costumes and set design. And it also has one hell of a rousing score from Hans Zimmer.
This is the day that you will always remember as the day that you...
In at number 9, Kill Bill Volume 1. I'm still not entirely sure I know how I feel about Kill Bill. Jackie Brown is one of my favourite Tarantino films. It was him at his most adult and restrained. And he followed it with this, his most childish and totally unrestrained film. At the time, that kinda bothered me, but now I kinda love the idea of a director being allowed to run wild. It is remarkably indulgent, and I think personally a few scenes could go in the two films. Do we really need a whole sequence about Michael Madsen having to clean a toilet in a strip club in Volume 2?
But honey, the toilet is at it again. There's shitty water all over the floor.
Okay.
It was the monster Harvey Weinstein who came up with the idea of splitting it into two movies. And I think I'm waiting to see the whole bloody affair, the re-edited into one film cut, in the cinema to finally know how I feel about the project. But this first half contains some astonishingly fun and memorable sequences. We follow the bride who goes on a mission of revenge against her former group of assassins led by a man named Bill after they try to kill her and her unborn child. She wakes up from a coma and writes a list, and I love a good list. If Raiders of the Lost Ark was a love letter to the serial films of the 1930s and 40s, then this is a love letter to the exploitation films of the 1970s. So the film is chock-a-block with film references and a heavy dose of the old ultra-violence. And this first volume builds to one hell of a sequence in Tokyo. And speaking of Tokyo, in at number 8, Tokyo Godfathers. Set on Christmas Eve, we follow 3 homeless people in the city who stumble across an abandoned baby and some garbage. They then set off into the night trying to locate the baby's parents and get into all sorts of chaotic scenarios. As the night continues, we find out more about the 3 protagonists and how they wound up on the street. and then how they found this new type of family with each other. It's very moving, while also being funny. It was made by a master of animation, Satoshi Kon, but unlike his other films, it doesn't merge fiction and reality. But here, Tokyo becomes a city of improbable coincidences that lead to huge revelations. It's a night of a dozen small miracles, making it a very unique Christmas movie. It's also a visual treat. It captures winter Tokyo in a remarkable fashion. You can feel the cold at the same time as feeling the vibrancy of the city. This is an alternative Christmas movie about an alternative family and shows just how strong the bond can be within a found family. Lovely stuff. In at number 7, Finding Nemo. Well, we're sticking with animation with this Pixar gem. Since Toy Story, Pixar were on a hell of a roll, being able to make totally unique, stunning animations that make you laugh and make you cry, although I still get angry with Pixar's ability to manipulate my heartstrings so professionally. This starts off in a tragic fashion. A clownfish couple and their eggs are attacked by a barracuda, and after the attack, only the father and one egg remain. The egg becomes his child Nemo, but now Dad Marlin is overly protective of his last remaining family member. But more tragedy strikes when Nemo is captured by dastardly scuba divers. Now Marlin sets off on a journey across the ocean to find his son. The journey is full of amazing characters, both friendly and menacing. And in 100 minutes, you go on a hell of a trip under the sea. Pixar outdid themselves with the animation. The world of the coral reef is colourful and brilliantly created. And even better is the sense of anxiety that is created through the father. The care and fear are tangible. It's truly moving, and is probably the best underwater film ever made. That or Das Boot, which is how it's called, it's not Das Boot. Anyway, this is Pixar at their best. In at number 6, The Station Agent. This independent film has a micro budget, a tiny running time, and a star of short stature, but it still manages to pack a massive emotional punch. Tom McCarthy's directorial debut was filmed on 16mm film in 20 days with only a budget of $500,000, and it shows that a film that is emotionally true can have a huge impact. This was the breakthrough role for Peter Dinklage, one of the very best actors working today. In it, he plays a reclusive man who inherits an abandoned train station in New Jersey. He moves in looking for solitude, but ends up meeting people struggling with their own demons. A local artist suffering a recent bereavement, a young librarian who is hiding a pregnancy, and a snack truck attendant whose father is ill, but whose real issue is severe boredom. The interactions with these characters are truly special, well observed, well written, and brilliantly performed. Patricia Clarkson and Michelle Williams are truly superb in it, and Bobby Cannavale gives a hilarious performance as the good-hearted man who won't leave you alone. But it is Dinklage who really stands out by doing mostly very little. It is a masterclass in understatement. Little expressions tell you a lot, and he creates a fully formed character, a character who knows they're boring, but one who is riveting to watch nonetheless. This is an exceptionally funny and moving movie about people made by great artists.
Hey, Finn! You want a cold one?
Here are some other notable releases of 2003. 2 years earlier, Sean Penn had tried to win an Oscar for his performance in I Am Sam, but no one could hold him back from winning one in Clint Eastwood's Mystic River.
And the Oscar goes to...
Charlize Theron won Best Actress for Monster. She's great in it, but I like it most for a gag in Arrested Development. There were some other films from big-name directors. Ridley Scott's Matchstick Men, Tim Burton's Big Fish, Gus Van Sant's Elephant, Kevin Costner's Open Range, the Coen brothers' Intolerable Cruelty, 21 Grams from Alejandro González Iñárritu, and the anthology Coffee and Cigarettes from Jim Jarmusch.
Aren't you Bill Murray, man? You Bill Murray?
Yeah, I'm
Bill Murray.
Also featuring Bill Murray is one of the big notable absences from my list, Lost in Translation. I think both Murray and Scarlett Johansson are tremendous in this Sofia Coppola film about two lonely people in Tokyo. But once they connect and start to feel comfortable, I think they just become loud, obnoxious, awful gaijins in the city.
He's smiling. You like that idea? See, they love black toe over in this country. You got a sharp knife? Gotta be, you know, this country, somebody's gotta prefer black toe. Black toe. Or we should probably hang around until someone orders it. Hey, what's with the straight face?
And another very Western take on Japan was the fun The Last Samurai, where Tom Cruise comes to save the day. A far better samurai film was Beat Takeshi's revival of the Blind Warrior franchise, Zatoichi. It has plenty of CGI blood and ends with a great dance number. Other foreign films of the year included the second Infernal Affairs film, which served as a prequel/sequel. It was a hell of a year for Korean cinema. South. With the horror A Tale of Two Sisters and the meditative Spring, Summer, Fall, Winter and Spring. And there'll be a few more South Korean films later. From Thailand we got Last Life in the Universe and the martial arts action bonanza Ong Bak. I loved Tony Jaa's stunts in this film, but seemingly not as much as the editor, who chose to show them multiple times. From Russia came The Return, and from Germany, a film dealing with East Berlin free from Russian control, was the comedy Goodbye Lenin. From France we got The Dreamers and the Triplets of Bellevue, and I'm ashamed to say it, but from the UK we got Love Actually. And another hugely loved Christmas film from 2003 was Elf.
I think we should call security.
Good idea. I like to whisper too.
And another Christmas comedy came in the shape of Bad Santa.
What do you want? What are you doing? God damn it!
Nintendo Deer Hunter 3.
Shit, what you want?
Some other comedies of the year included School of Rock.
Look, I've got a hangover. Who knows what that means?
Doesn't that mean you're drunk?
No. It means I was drunk yesterday.
Old School.
Ow!
And one of Christopher Guest's best mockumentaries, A Mighty Wind.
Hey, what happened? As you know, back in 1970, I starred on a series called What Happened? And every time something would go wrong, I would look at the camera and say, hey, what happened?
There were some great documentaries, Touching the Void, The Fog of War, and The Corporation. And it was a huge year for sequels. Michael Bay made the remarkably distasteful but quite fun Bad Boys 2. There was the second Fast and Furious film, the far too stupid Too Fast, Too Furious. Robert Rodriguez's third film about a gun-fu master mariachi player once upon a time in Mexico featured a fun performance from Johnny Depp.
Gracias, señor.
Fuck off.
The third Terminator film didn't get close to the quality of the first two. And I distinctly remember 2003 being marketed as the year of The Matrix. Yes, following on from the 1999 masterpiece, this was the year where that world was supposed to rule all our screens. We got the anime anthology The Animatrix, a video game Enter the Matrix, and two sequels, Reloaded, which had some great action, but a truly baffling ending, and then Revolutions, which was a film. There were a few original action films. The silly vampire werewolf battlefield Underworld. I say original, it was clearly inspired by The Matrix. And there was the silly but fun The Rundown.
The Rundown.
Or as it was known in the UK, Welcome to the Jungle.
Welcome to the jungle.
By 2003, the comic book movie really started to dominate our screens. There was the excellent sequel to X-Men, X2, which had some brilliant mutant action scenes. And another good adaptation came in the shape of American Splendor starring Paul Giamatti. But most of the other comic book movies of that year were a letdown. Daredevil, Hulk, and the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. But possibly the most talked about film of the year is one that is still shown in cinemas across the world, and is still attracting audiences to get into the cinema to witness something truly unique. Yes, Tommy Wiseau wrote,
Chip, 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 chip.
directed,
You are tearing me apart, Lisa!
and starred in
The $18.
Go, keep the change. Hi, doggy.
You're my favorite customer.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
The Room.
I did not hit her. It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark.
Right, on to my top 5. In at number 5, Memories of Murder. I said there'd be more South Korean films on this list. Director Bong Joon-ho is a master at finding a new angle when taking on a well-known genre. And here he tackles a detective story. And while most would show police getting clues, building up to the capture, this shows clues being lost, ruined, or even fabricated. Policemen guessing who the killer is on suspicions, and an ending that is far from wrapping everything up in a neat little bow. It is a film that doesn't rely on twists, but more on dead ends. This is about flawed people investigating truly horrible crimes. And as usual with Bong, this is predictably unpredictable. We follow a group of detectives who are investigating a number of murders taking place in the countryside. The two lead investigators have clashing methods, and a lot of the clumsiness of the investigation is incredibly funny. Bong has always been a director able to mix both humour and bleakness. Quite an astonishing achievement. His worlds tend to be grim, and his stories, while unconventional, often have more of a ring of truth to them. The landscape here is barren and ugly, but yet again it is filmed in a beautiful way. This was only Bong's second film, and brought him international recognition. What is marvellous about his South Korea set films is that while they are very much about that country, with this being set in the late 80s and dealing with political oppression at the time, he also manages to make them universal, able to get to the heart of the conflict and flaws that lie within us all. And he's one of the greatest directors of the 21st century so far. In at number 4, The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. I thought I would go to Ian McKellen's pub, The Grapes in Limehouse, to talk about this film. It even has Gandalf's staff behind the bar. And while I have a pint of ale, I think about the final part of this remarkable trilogy. Well, Peter Jackson did it. He finished his flawless trilogy in epic style. What more is there to say? Everything works in this film. It looks and sounds wonderful, with great sets, costumes and effects, and the outstanding Howard Shore score. Jackson's direction of the grand battles is masterful, as is his direction of the smaller, more personal moments. The cast couldn't be better, and the whole thing is near impossible not to love. Watching these films in the cinema over 3 years had such an impact too. You felt like you had gone on the journey with this fellowship. You had survived battles, and you had learnt to love these characters. The anticipation of seeing them year after year on the big screen, and then the fact that they didn't fail to blow you away. I'll just have a few more drinks at the Grapes. I'll just have as many as there were endings to The Return of the King. In at number 3, Master and Commander, The Far Side of the World. One of the great epics of this century so far. Peter Weir's film is based on Patrick O'Brien's Aubrey Maturin series of books, nautical adventures set during the Napoleonic Wars. This single film takes plot elements from a few of the books, and takes us on one hell of a journey across the seas, and our emotions are taken on a stormy ride as well. This is a film that never fails to make me cry. About 5 sequences get me every time, and the last time I watched it, I was on a flight where I am more prone to crying watching a film, so I looked like the most broken man going to Tenerife that day. Russell Crowe stars as the charismatic captain of the ship. Following on from LA Confidential and Gladiator, Crowe was one of the most masculine screen presences at the time. You believe that he had command of this huge vessel. Much of this film is about his friendship with the ship's surgeon, played by Paul Bettany. Their chemistry is excellent, continuing on from A Beautiful Mind 2 years prior. The whole film is really one big cat and mouse chase across the seas, with their frigate being chased by a superior French privateer. And what is so bloody exceptional about this film is that it's all told from the British ship. You are on that sinkable piece of wood with these men as they hide in the dark or during really riveting surprise attacks. The naval battle sequences have never been beaten. Edge of your seat stuff, where each cannonball causes damage, harm, and death to the ship and its crew. And this has to be also one of the best sounding films of all time. And beyond its remarkable depiction of life on board, this is also a film with friendship at its heart, and not just the two leads. The ship is full of different friendships, and far too many of them end in tragedy. It's a beautiful film, with a beautifully written script, beautiful music, and yes, there was never a sequel, but in many ways I don't mind. To me, that ship is still out there, and the adventure continues. In at number 2, Oldboy. One of my favourite South Korean movies of all time. I distinctly remember renting this from Blockbuster. I took it home and it blew me away. I immediately watched it again, and then I told my dad that we had to watch it that evening. Now, watching this violent, dark and twisted revenge drama 3 times in a day might seem a little extreme, but this movie had such a huge impact on me. The visuals, the performances, the music, the nastiness, and the twist blew my teenage mind. After this, Park Chan-wook became one of my favourite directors working today, and he hasn't disappointed since. This is a very loose adaptation of a manga. We follow a man who is imprisoned in a room for 15 years, never being told why he is there. One day he is finally released, and now has a limited amount of time to find out who did this to him, and more importantly, why. What follows is a visual feast. A film with constant imaginative touches, great editing, cinematography, one of the best scores of all time, Jo Young-wook, and wall-to-wall great performances. A lot has to be given to Choi Min-sik as our protagonist Oh Dae-soo. His performance and intensity leave you breathless. A lot of people love to focus on the one-shot corridor hammer fight, and it is superb, but there basically isn't a scene in this that doesn't leave my jaw on the floor. It is filmmaking at such a high level. This is a revenge film with a big twist at the end, but it doesn't forget to make it a human story. It is about the conflict that lies within us, about love, lust, and even laziness. Park Chan-wook is able to go to dark places and take us there with him. He takes us to worlds that shock us, and much like our lead characters here, hypnotize us. He is a master of the nasty, but never forgets to tell a human tale, and Oldboy might just be his best film. And in at number 1, Dogville. Now this is a film that is quite divisive. I imagine there are a lot of people who hate it, and I can understand why, but I think this unique film is a wonder of cinema. Lars von Trier is a troll. He loves to shock, provoke and infuriate, and many of his films have pissed me off royally. But when his nasty sights are locked on a particular topic, I think he is able to make incredibly powerful cinema. This 3-hour film feels like a great novel, a great play, and a great film all rolled into one. It feels like a play as it is filmed on a bare stage, with chalk outlines saying where the buildings of a town are, with only a few props scattered through. When I first rented it with my dad, when the film started, we both looked at each other, assuming we wouldn't make it through. But boy oh boy does it work. You soon forget about it as you are totally engrossed in the story and the characters, and it's these characters that are the center of this astonishing story. It also feels like a great novel, as it has a wonderful voiceover from John Hurt, and the writing of the narration is witty and deep, and Hurt has one of the great voices of all time. Indeed, this feels like it could be a particularly bleak episode of Jim Henson's Storyteller. and it all feels like a film as we are able to get right up close and personal with these characters. As Sergio Leone knew, a close-up on a face is sometimes the greatest effect of all. This tells a story of a woman who, while on the run from gangsters, hides in a small mountain town, Dogville. A man in the town decides to help her and eventually convinces the whole town to hide her as well. Well, for those who haven't seen it, I don't want to ruin it, but the story gets darker and darker and darker. It's bleak beyond belief. It's absolutely riveting and, most shockingly, all too believable. The cast is exceptional. Nicole Kidman, for me, gives her very best performance here as the lead, a woman who believes good can exist in the world. And the town is made up of astonishing actors, including Lauren Bacall, Stellan Skarsgård, Patricia Clarkson and Ben Gazzara. Each character is well thought out and performed to perfection, and also giving their best ever performance for me is Paul Bettany as the exceptionally weak love interest for Kidman. When it came out, it was very divisive, and still is today, but I feel more and more people are coming round to it. But I totally get the criticism. It's 3 hours, there's no set, its nastiness is at times unwatchable, and it is sort of anti-American. This is Von Trier poking at America, talking about the dark that can lie behind an idyllic small town. But I personally think this is more universal. I don't think it just takes aim at one country. I think it takes aim at humanity. It deals with how horrors and evil lie within us all, and that decent people can convince themselves into doing truly despicable things. And the 3-hour running time gives the film time to show this change in people in a subtle way. Maybe I'm just in a bleak mood today. Ask me another day and Return of the King could easily be my favourite film of the year. But watching this again, this film has the ring of truth, and I wish that weren't the case. Right, so counting down my top 10. In at number 10, Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl. In at number 9, Kill Bill Volume 1. In at number 8, Tokyo Godfathers. In at number 7, Finding Nemo. In at number 6, The Station Agent. In at number 5, Memories of Murder. In at number 4, The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. In at number 3, Master and Commander, The Far Side of the World. In at number 2, Oldboy. And in at number 1, Dogville. Well, those are my top 10 films of 2003. What did I leave out? Loads, probably. So what are your top 10 films of 2003? Cheers.